On the 14th night, the wind changed. It carried weight, not air, but memory, heavy as rain that never fell. The lion rose without a sound and began to walk, but not toward the stone or the spiral, but deeper into the woods, into the parts that bent the air and thickened thought. The child followed without fear. They passed trees that bent in bowing arcs, roots that moved when not looked at, stones etched in languages that never had a mouth. The lion stopped at a hollow in the earth, a natural bowl ringed by whispering ferns. The sky above was thinner here, almost worn. The lion stepped into the center, lowered its head and breathed once. A ripple moved through the ground. Then it began to speak. The second story. Before waking, before sleep, before the dreaming, there was the weaver. The lion closed its eyes, and the ground opened, not physically, but within. The child saw not with eyes, but with knowing. A figure moved through shadow and thread. Neither man nor woman, neither beast nor god. A shimmer, a shape, a rhythm woven into light. The weaver was not born. It rose when the world first asked why. Where there was chaos, the weaver did not make order, but pattern, echoes, recurrence, rhythm. It did not speak, it sang. Each note spun a thread. Each thread became a strand of the loom. And from that loom, the world unfolded. But the weaver was not alone. From the edges of unpatterned silence came the forgetting. A force with no face, no name, only hunger. It whispered, unweave. And slowly, thread by thread, it began to pull. The child gasped. They could feel it. The pull in their bones. The ache of unraveling that still echoed in the waking world. The lion's voice hummed like a heartbeat beneath thunder. The weaver did not fight. It scattered itself into the threads. Memory into matter, rhythm into root, spiral into sky. And then, it was gone. But not lost. For wherever a dream was dreamt, wherever a spiral turned, wherever a child looked at the world and asked, why not? The weaver stirred, not to return, but to be remembered. The vision faded. The hollow remained. The child sat in silence beside the lion. They did not speak. They did not move. But inside them, something stirred. A shimmer? A song? The shape of a thread waiting to be pulled. On the 15th night, the lion brought the child to the base of a shattered stone tower. It stood crooked in a grove that time had long since stopped visiting. Ivy crept across gears. Broken sun discs leaned against the roots. Something ancient and mechanical pulsed beneath the earth. Slow, metallic, forgotten. The lion's breath clouded the air, though the night was not cold. The child reached out and touched the stone. The tower remembered. The third story. When the weaver scattered, the lion intoned. The loom began to fray. Without rhythm to hold them, the people faltered. The world unspooled, colors blurred, directions warped, meanings drifted like leaves. The stars wept and the ground pulsed with images no one had asked for. In the chaos, a faction emerged, minds sharp as obsidian, hearts sealed in glass. They called themselves the clockmakers. We will carve time into shape, they said. We will bind the world to measurement. We will silence the spirals. They built towers of brass and stone. They harvested echo from the loom's dying strands. They locked each hour in a box and chained the sky to its hinges. They crafted the first clock. It beat not with rhythm, but command. It did not hum. It ticked, and the world obeyed. The land straightened. The air cooled. The dreams fled underground. The people learned to speak in units. They forgot the weaver. They feared the spiral. But nothing built in forgetting lasts forever. For deep in the heart of the first clock, buried between the gears, was a thread the clockmakers could not remove. It pulsed faint, ancient, defiant. A single spiral-shaped hair from the weaver's mane. They sealed it in silence. But silence, like time, eventually breaks. The child blinked. The tower cracked just slightly. A puff of dust slipped from a seam in the stone. Beneath it, a gear shifted out of time. The lion growled, not in anger, but recognition. The clocks will break. And when they do, the spiral will return. That night, the child slept beneath the tower's leaning shadow. They dreamed of brass forests and bleeding gears, of voices caught between ticks, of a city that no longer knew it was dreaming. And in the center of it all, they saw their own hands, turning, threading, beginning. The child woke beneath the leaning tower, but their breath carried the scent of smoke and salt. The lion's gaze held them steady. As the world melted and reformed around their closed eyes, they stood at the edge of a city built in spirals, not on grids or straight lines, but in swirling pathways that curled like fingers of smoke. The air was thick with song, a humming pulse woven into the stone, echoing the weaver's forgotten rhythm. Towers stretched like spiraled seashells, their walls alive with flickering runes, casting shadows that danced like stories waiting to be told. The streets twisted inward, folding like the threads of a loom, leading always back to the center, where a vast glowing orb floated, suspended by shimmering threads. The child stepped forward, feeling the city breathe beneath their feet. The orb pulsed with light. It was the heart of the spiral, the source of all stories, all memory, all dreaming. But the city was fractured. Cracks of silence ran like scars through the glowing stone. Fragments of the clockmaker's order had reached here too. Steel gates clamped tight across alleys, voices trapped behind walls of ticking glass. At the city's edge, the child saw shadows, figures bound by numbers, by time, walking in circles, never touching, never breaking pattern. They whispered names long forgotten, words without meaning, and never looked up. The lion stepped beside the child, its great paw tracing the spiral's curve. Without speaking, it showed the child the deepest truth. The spiral city is a place of becoming, of falling apart and weaving anew. It holds the memory of the weaver, but is trapped by the clockmaker's grasp. The child reached toward the orb. They felt the threads hum beneath their fingertips, alive with possibility, the power to unweave or remake. The lion's eyes glimmered like stars, and the child understood. The spiral city was both prison and promise. They awoke back beneath the tower. The dawn touched the stone, and the thread beneath the lion's paw pulsed gently.